I am 90 years old. For 52 years, I was a banker. Not the kind who helps you open a savings account. The kind who sat in rooms with no windows, made decisions with no names attached to them, and moved money the way other people move chess pieces. I was good at it. That is the part that still keeps me awake at night. I want to talk to you today, not because I am proud of what I built, but because I am ashamed of what I destroyed. And I have been carrying that shame for long enough that I believe before I leave this world, I owe the truth to someone. So let it be you. You are probably working right now, trying to earn more, save more. Maybe you are stressed about a loan, a bill, a number in your account that never seems to grow fast enough. I know that feeling, not because I lived it, but because I profited from it. That is the first thing I want you to understand about me. I did not serve people like you. I served people who already had more than they would ever need. And my job, the job I was celebrated for, promoted for, given awards for, was to make sure they kept getting more, while people like you got less. I thought I had time to make it right. I was wrong. There is a moment in a man's life, if he is honest enough to face it, where he looks back at the trail behind him and realizes the path was never as clean as he told himself it was. I had that moment, but I had it too late. The decisions were already made. The damage was already done. The names I never attached to those numbers, they were real people with real lives that I helped quietly destroy. And I called it business. I called it necessary. I told myself someone else would have done it if I hadn't. I was wrong about all of it. Stay with me. Because what I learned inside those rooms about money, about power, about the system that most people never see is something they never wanted people like you to know. And I'm going to tell you anyway, I grew up with nothing. A small house, a father who worked in a factory, a mother who counted coins before every grocery trip. I watched her do it so many times that the image is still sharp in my mind, her hands moving slowly over the kitchen table, making sure there was enough. There was never quite enough, so I made myself a promise when I was young. I would never count coins. I would be on the other side of money, the side that never had to worry. And I got there. By 32, I was managing accounts worth more than my entire neighborhood combined. By 40, I had the corner office. By 50, I was sitting across the table from men whose names you would recognize. Politicians, industrialists, men who owned things most people never even get to see. And they trusted me. That trust, I mistook it for success. What it actually was access. Access to a machine that ran on one rule and one rule only. Grow the money. Everything else was secondary. The people borrowing it, the families depending on it. The small business owners who came to us believing we would help them, they were secondary. I remember one man, I will not say his name. He came to our branch in 1987. He had a small textile business, third generation. His grandfather had started it. He needed a loan to expand, not out of greed, out of survival. His competitors were growing. He needed to keep up. We gave him the loan, and then we changed the terms. Not dramatically, not in a way that was easy to see. Small adjustments, interest restructured, clauses buried in language that a man running a factory at 6 in the morning does not have time to read carefully. Within 3 years, he had lost the business. Within 5, I heard through someone that he had lost the house too. I never thought about him again, not for years. I thought I had time to care later. Later never came for him. And I was the reason, but I kept moving because the system rewards movement. It rewards closing. It rewards the number at the end of the quarter, not the face behind the number. And I was exceptional at the number. I was promoted again that same year. There were others like him, many others. Farmers who borrowed to survive a dry season and found themselves in debt spirals we had quietly engineered. Young couples who took mortgages we knew were unstable because selling the loan was more valuable to us than whether they could actually carry it. I signed papers. I approved structures. I sat in meetings where human consequences were never mentioned, not because we forgot, but because we had agreed silently to never bring them in. And at night I went home to a beautiful house. I told my wife it was a good day. Most days I believed it. That is the part that frightens me most. Looking back now at 90, not that I did it, but that I did it comfortably, that I slept well, that I felt deserving. The cracks were always there. I just chose not to look at them. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were our internal review meetings. Numbers, projections, portfolio performance. The kind of meeting where everything is a percentage and nothing is a person. I was 71, already retired. But I had been invited back as a senior consultant because old habits and old networks die slowly in banking. They wanted my read on a new lending structure they were designing for rural markets. Rural markets. That is what they called them. I sat in that room and I listened to men young enough to be my grandsons talk about default tolerance and acceptable loss ratios, and I understood every word. I had spoken that language for 5 decades. It was comfortable, familiar, but something was different that day. Maybe it was my age. Maybe it was the fact that my wife had passed the year before, and grief has a way of dissolving the walls you spend a lifetime building inside yourself. Maybe I was simply tired of the performance. Whatever it was, I heard the words differently. Acceptable loss ratios. I sat there and I thought, acceptable to whom? To the men in this room? Yes. To the family who loses their land because of a clause on page 11 that nobody explained to them? I do not think they would use the word acceptable. I did not say that out loud. I sat quietly, the way I always had. But something broke open in me that afternoon, quietly, the way old things break, not with noise, but with a slow, irreversible shift. I drove home alone. I sat in my driveway for a long time, and for the first time in my life, truly the first time, I allowed myself to think about the people, not the portfolios, not the percentages, the people, the man with the textile business, the young couples, the farmers. The faces I had never looked at because looking required feeling, and feeling was not part of the structure. I thought I had time to make peace with all of this later. I was wrong. My hands were shaking, not from cold, from something older and heavier than cold. I went inside. I sat at my kitchen table, the same kind of table my mother used to count coins on, and I wept. Not for long. I was not built for long weeping, but it was real. Perhaps the most real moment I had experienced in decades. Because in that moment I understood something that no boardroom, no promotion, no year-end bonus had ever taught me. I had spent my entire life being excellent at the wrong thing. I had mastered a system that was designed to concentrate wealth. I had told myself it was neutral, that it was just finance, that I was just doing my job with skill and precision. But a scalpel used in the wrong hands is not neutral. Skill in service of harm is not something to be proud of. And the worst part, the part that hit me hardest sitting at that table, was that I had known, not always consciously, but somewhere beneath the language and the structure and the quarterly reviews, I had known. I had chosen comfort over conscience. Every single day, for 52 years, I thought I had time to become a different man. Later never came, until that Tuesday. And by then, the damage was already measured in lifetimes that were not mine. Let me tell you what I know now. Not what I learned in banking, not what they teach in business schools or whisper in boardrooms. What I know at 90, with nothing left to protect and nothing left to prove. The system is not broken. That is the first lie they want you to believe. That it is broken, that it is imperfect, that good people are trying to fix it. I sat inside it for 52 years. It is not broken. It is working exactly as it was designed to work. It was built to move wealth upward, quietly, legally, permanently. And it needs people like I was, educated, capable, comfortable, to keep it running smoothly. I was not a victim of the system. I was the system. And here is the truth that took me 7 decades to accept. Every system, every institution, every structure that exists in this world is only as moral as the individuals inside it who choose to speak, who choose to pause, who choose to ask acceptable to whom. I never asked. That is my failure, not the bank's, mine. Now let me tell you the lesson that goes beyond banking, because this is not really about finance. It never was. This is about what happens when a human being decides that comfort is more important than conscience. You may not be a banker, but you have made that choice too. We all have. The moment you stayed quiet when something wrong was happening because speaking would cost you something. The moment you followed a rule you knew was hurting someone because breaking it felt too risky. The moment you told yourself, this is just how things work, and kept moving. That is the same choice I made. Every day, in a suit, behind a desk. The details are different. The mechanism is the same. And here is what that choice costs, not immediately, not visibly, but over time, over years, over a lifetime of small surrenders. It costs you yourself. I do not mean that poetically. I mean it literally. The man who sat at that kitchen table weeping, I did not recognize him. Not because he was old. Because somewhere between 32 and 71, the person I had originally been, the boy who watched his mother count coins and felt something, who understood what scarcity did to a family, who promised himself he would use whatever he built to mean something, that person had been replaced. Quietly, gradually, comfortably, by a function. I had become a function inside a machine. Efficient, reliable, replaceable. And I had called it a career. Do not call it a career when what you mean is that you traded your values for a salary and your conscience for a title. That is not a career. That is a slow disappearance. I thought I had time to become the man I originally intended to be. I was wrong. The man you are today is being built right now. Not later. Not after the next promotion. Not when things settle down. Right now. In the choices that feel small. In the moments nobody is watching. In the questions you ask or refuse to ask. Every time you choose comfort over conscience, you lose a little of yourself. Every time you attach a number to a situation that deserves a name, you lose a little of yourself. Every time you say someone else would have done it anyway, you lose a little of yourself. And one day you will sit somewhere quiet, maybe a kitchen table, maybe a driveway, maybe a hospital room, and you will try to find yourself. And the search will be harder than you expected, because later never came. And the person you were going to become, the honest one, the courageous one, the one who asked the right questions, was waiting for you to show up. And you kept making him wait. Do not make him wait any longer. I am 90 years old. I do not say that for sympathy. I say it because I want you to understand the weight of the perspective sitting behind these words. I have watched generations move through this world. I have watched people chase the same things in different decades with different words for the same emptiness. And I need to tell you something directly. You are running out of time. Not today, maybe not this year, but the distance between the man I was at your age and the man sitting here now, it passed faster than I can explain to you. I know you have heard that before. I know it sounds like something old people say, but I am not saying it to fill silence. I am saying it because I watched the clock my entire life and still did not believe it was real until the minutes were nearly gone. So hear me. The life you are living right now, this version today, with the people currently in it, is not a waiting room. It is not the preparation. It is not the rough draft before the real thing begins. This is it. And if you are spending it building something that requires you to hurt people quietly, to look away from consequences, to separate yourself from your own conscience, then you are not building a life. You are building a regret. I built a very impressive regret. It had a corner office. It had a pension. It had industry awards on a wall that I packed into boxes when I retired and have not opened since. Because I knew, even then, that they were not the right measurements. The right measurements were never on any report I produced. They were in the face of the man with the textile business. They were in the homes that should not have been taken. They were in the farmers who deserved a fair chance and received a calculated trap instead. They were in every moment I chose the number over the name. I thought I had time to balance it out. Later never came. And now I sit with it. Every morning. Every night. Not in dramatic agony. I am too old for drama. In quiet. In the specific and permanent quiet of a man who knows exactly what he did and exactly what he did not do and understands that both are now unchangeable. That quiet is the heaviest thing I have ever carried. I do not want that for you. So I am asking you, not as a banker, not as someone with authority, as a human being at the end of a long road looking back at every fork where I chose wrong. Choose the harder thing now. Ask the question that makes the room uncomfortable. Attach a name to the number. Look at the consequence you have been trained to ignore. Speak when silence is easier. Stop when movement is expected. Because the version of you that you are most proud of, the honest one, the courageous one, the one who chose people over comfort, that person does not appear automatically at the end of your career. That person is built now. In the ordinary moments. In the choices no one is watching. And if you keep waiting for the right time to become that person, later will not come. It did not come for me. I made rich men richer. I watched thousands lose what they had spent lifetimes building. I signed my name to it. I slept well. I was promoted. I was respected. And now at 90, in a quiet house with awards I cannot look at, I would trade every number I ever moved for one moment of having been truly, honestly, courageously good. Don't make my mistake. The time you think you have is already passing.